Hey everyone, so now that Linka and Dinglong has fully briefed you of what the movers community roles are, it's time for us to do a little practice. So for this practice, we'll be showing you 3 examples together with 2 questions each. And as part of the activity, I hope that you could also take your time to try to answer the questions that we have later on and see if you have the same answers as our team. So basically, our team has drafted possible answers to different scenarios, but feel free to message us if you think that there is a way for us to improve on these answers. So yes, let's practice. I'll be quickly sharing my screen and we will go through all of the 3 questions one by one. All right. So for our first scenario, okay, so scenario 1, Jason joined a regional workshop on leadership as part of his self-learning initiatives. Now, in the workshop, everyone was asked to open their cameras and actively participate in the workshop. However, Jason was not comfortable opening his camera and decided to continue with the workshop cameras off. The organizers of the workshop called out Jason for not turning on his camera. This, ano ba y- Okay, so let's quit that and let's go back here. Sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 3, again, in. Hey everyone, so now that LinkedIn has properly briefed you of what the movers community rules are, now let's do a little practice. Again, sorry. Last. 1, 2, 3, and hey everyone. So now that Linka and Denlong has properly briefed you of what the movers community rules are, we will now be going through a little practice. So we will be showing you 3 different scenarios. In each different scenario comes 2 questions. So we hope that you could also pause your screen for a moment and try to answer these 2 questions before I give out the final answers or the answers that our team has drafted for these different scenarios. So these scenarios include fictional characters experiencing different um, safety. Okay, this is the last. Hey everyone, so now that Linking Dilong has properly briefed you about the movers community rules, we will now go through a short exercise. So for this practice, I will prefer the okay, final. Hey everyone, so now that Linking Dinglong has properly briefed you about the movers community rules, we will now be going through a practice. So for this practice, we will be showing 3 different scenarios from 3 different. Okay, this is the final. Hey everybody, so now that you have been finally briefed by Lenka and Dinglong on the movers community rules, we will now be going through a very short practice. So for this practice, I will be showing 3 different scenarios, and for each scenario, I will be hoping that you could pause your screen for a little bit and try to answer the questions that we have below every scenario. So please keep in mind that these scenarios have fictional characters in them. However, these could be possible instances that other people could experience while having workshops or while having webinars online. All right. So we'll be going through them one by one. So once again, if you have or if you're comfortable, please try to pause the screen and try to answer the question that I would show on later below after reading the statement. And afterwards, I will also be sharing what the team has drafted as solutions to these possible scenarios. All right, so now let's practice. So scenario 1, Jason joined a regional workshop on leadership as part of his self-learning initiatives. In this workshop, everyone was asked to open their cameras and actively participate in the workshop. However, Jason was not comfortable opening his camera and decided to continue with the workshop cameras off. The organizer of the workshop called out Jason for not turning on his camera, and this made him feel embarrassed in front of other participants. Because of peer pressure, Jason turned on his camera and proceeded with the workshop despite being hesitant. Everyone was happy to see Jason, but Jason was not happy to be placed in this situation. So for our questions, we have 2. How should the organizers handle situations similar to Jason's? And for the second question, as participants, what advice would you give Jason in case incidents like this happen to him again? So now we have 2 questions. How should the organizers handle situations similar to Jason's? And as participants, what advice would you give Jason in case incidents like this happen to him again. So I'll be giving you a few seconds for you to think of the answer that you think best fits this situation. So once again, Jason was not comfortable turning on his camera. However, the organizers called him out and Jason was forced to turn on his camera. Everyone else was happy to see Jason's face. However, Jason was not happy and felt embarrassed during the whole situation. All right, so for our team's suggested answer, as long as opening cameras was not posted as a requirement to join the workshop, organizers then should never call out participants who choose not to open camera. We must always remember that we should always respect their decision for the safety of the participants and of course their privacy. So we have to be sensitive and we have to consider many things. We have to consider the bandwidth, the place where the participant is at the moment, the prioritization of their safety. We have to consider these things. And as a best practice, what we usually say in the movers workshops is if you are willing to, if you are comfortable, then we would love to see your faces. But if not, it's totally fine. And thank you so much for joining us here on today's workshop. So there are also different ways for us to connect with our participants other than forcing them to turn on their cameras. So once again, as long as turning on the cameras was not placed as a requirement to join the workshop prior to the workshop, then it's totally fine for the participants to not turn on their cameras, and we must always respect their decision to choose not to open their cameras for their privacy and for the situation they are in at the moment. Now, for question number 2, as participants, what advice would you give Jason in case incidents like this happen to him? And for this, our team suggested that we would advise Jason and tell him that it's totally fine to not turn on his camera, especially if it's not a requirement to do so. So despite peer pressure, Jason should know that his decisions should be respected and valued, and that this is a safe and enabling environment for all who enter. So once again, that is scenario 1, and I hope that you also try to answer it with your own ideas, given the background of knowledge that you have from the movers community roles. All right. Now let's proceed with scenario 2. Oh, we have suggested solutions here. Yeah, the suggested solutions are presented here on the screen. So if you want, you could take a screenshot of this, you could save this, and you could also drop by this in the website later on. So you could try to look back and remember the different answers that we have for these scenarios. All right. So once again, here are answers for scenario number 1.